Hello everyone and welcome to the Total Nonstop Racing League. Tonight it is the Signarama of Hollywood 156 here from the Bristol Motor Speedway. I'm Peter Short and I'm joined by Mitchell Adams. Bob Giaquinto has the night off, and Mitchell, we're at the last great Colosseum, as Bristol's come to be known, a difficult short track, and we're going to see a lot of short track action here tonight.
Yeah, one of the most difficult short tracks in my opinion to get around here is Bristol, and it's going to put on some great racing action. All the lap times here really close for these guys here tonight, so I think we're in for quite a treat here, and thank you for having me up here in the booth, Peter. Glad to get the opportunity to do it. It's been a little while since I've gotten to be up here in the 3Y TV booth, so I'm looking forward to watching some great racing alongside you here tonight and everybody else out there watching too.
Yeah, these drivers here in the Total Nonstop Racing Bagcraft Grand National Series have put on an absolute show. Two side-by-side finishes to start off the 2022 season. It has been really, really good racing. Last week at Rockingham Speedway, it was John Canazzaro Jr. taking the win. Of course, JT Poole got the win back on February 7th at Daytona. So two winners in the first two races so far, and two side-by-side finishes, photo finishes, if you will. I expect to see more action here tonight. There is James Lorello, last week's runner-up in the Elizabeth Lorello Racing 125 at Rockingham. What can he do here around this half-mile racetrack? Currently fastest of all. Meanwhile, JT Poole, there is the number 26 Mitchell, winner from Daytona several weeks ago. I'm a little bit surprised to see JT Poole up there at the top of the point here in practice. He's really finding his stride here in the Total Nonstop Racing League right now.
Yeah, strong runs from JT Poole to start the season, and I know this is a track he really likes. I've raced with JT for quite a while. I know Bristol's one of his favorites, always seems to run strong here, so I expect big things from the driver, the number 26 here tonight. Of course, John Canazzaro, last week's winner in third place. James Lorello up there at the front of practice after getting so close last week. And of course, a lot of these drivers, familiar names for those of you who view the channel, but everybody really strong. So we could see maybe a little bit of a dark horse come out here tonight. There's a lot of chance for things to happen at Bristol, and sometimes it can favor drivers you might not expect getting up toward the front. So it's definitely something I'm looking at as you get a little on board here with Bill Edwards. It's just under 2 minutes left in practice. Well, now we're moved on from Bill Edwards, so on to Kyle Zimmer here. You see just how short Bristol is, only a half mile, and maybe not as high speed as some of the bigger mile and a halves we go to, but very high speed for a track of its size, so it's very challenging, and you see all the different lines here as you're riding on board these drivers can take here tonight.
Yeah, going to be fun to see these drivers tackle this half a mile. Only 156 laps here tonight, Mitchell. Is a relatively short race. We go green flag all the way, which is highly unlikely for a short track, but really the race would be over in about 40 minutes. I did the math. I don't expect them to go green flag all the way. I expect a couple of cautions sprinkled in there, but we haven't seen a whole lot of cautions here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. Of course, we do have two-stage cautions, so there will be a minimum of two cautions here tonight. But only 156 laps. This race will go by in a hurry, and I would think that qualifying might be important here tonight for these drivers, Mitchell.
Yeah, usually qualifying very important here at Bristol, just because sometimes it can be kind of difficult to pass once the tires wear off. So a lot of pressure these guys are going to be putting on is on their qualifying runs. I expect drivers really try to nail those qualifying laps to get themselves the best track position, because that's kind of the way Bristol can lead sometime. You're exactly right, Peter. So we're getting ready to roll over to it, and you really, I think we're going to see what all the different drivers have, but it's a very difficult racetrack to make passes just because how fast that, especially that high line, can work. So if you can get the high line working during the race, you're usually smooth sailing once the run goes on, but practice wrapping up now, and we're about to see who exactly is going to put themselves in that position here.
Yep, we will move over into the qualifying session. We'll get some of these drivers work their way out onto the racetrack. There is John Canazzaro Jr., the winner from Rockingham Speedway. We were looking at Kyle Zimmer, and a little bit of important notes. Kyle Zimmer is one of the Signarama cars in the field here tonight. There's a link in the description to Signarama of Hollywood, Florida, just north of Miami. You find the Hollywood area just south of Fort Lauderdale, and very cool to have them on board, sponsoring not only Kyle Zimmer, but tonight's 156th lap event. John Canazzaro Jr. purple in both sectors. That means he was the fastest first half and the fastest second half of the lap, which has put him currently provisionally into the top of the charts, which is pretty big here. Second lap not going so well, and he pile drives the inside wall. We'll see if that holds up. JT Poole slots into second, and Phillip Scott in the number 99 machine. He's going to jump up into the third position, and one thing about Phillip Scott, Mitchell, is the fact that Phillip Scott is your current points leader here in the BagcraftCornhole.com Grand National Series.
Yes, he is. Right now, he comes in with a 7-point lead over John Canazzaro, who's currently sitting on pole. So, Phillip definitely wanting a strong run here tonight to hopefully sustain that points lead. He's up close to John, but so far, John Canazzaro has the edge as we go into the night right now. Looking out on track, doesn't seem like anybody else. Well, now I say it, James Lorello goes purple in both sectors. Give the pole to James Lorello. It looks like the ticker's having a little bit of an issue with it up there, but that number 13 is in the first position right now. Ben Izanga jumped up into fourth as well. So a little bit of a shakeup. That puts John Canazzaro into second. There it kind of corrected itself. Phillip Scott down to fifth, JT Poole third, but yeah, the points battle up front very close too. Dave Harvey's only 15 points back, and he's tied with Mike Floppy Tellier for the third position. Then Bill Edwards is fifth, only 17 points back. So really all the drivers up front, very close in points, but definitely going to keep an eye on that main battle between Phillip Scott and John Canazzaro. Looking at JD Laird now, out for his qualifying laps. We'll see what kind of speed he can put out on the board here. Only up to 8th so far on that first lap. We'll see if he can improve any more his second time around. There's the number 24 car of Fernando Matos out for his qualifying laps as well. We'll see where he can place it. Oh, I think got the wall just slightly there out of 4, puts him in the 12th position. So Fernando with a pretty good qualifying, got a little work to do to get up there during the main event. And gonna see who that was. Got a big piece of the wall there. The number 45 of John Eckhart. Got pretty good.
Hit that wall out of turn number 4 a ton, and that's not gonna help his time at all. And what would you do for a Klondike bar? That was a big question that we had last week on the channel. I think at some point, Mitchell, you're going to have to answer that question here tonight. But Eckhart peels off the racetrack down in the 15th position here tonight. Currently, the racetrack has fallen silent. We have about 1 minute and 13 seconds or so left. I think Fernando Matos, one of the other Signarama cars in the race here tonight. There is Fernando there, racing for cerebral palsy. They're just in front of the rear tires, and great to have Fernando in the field as always, hailing from Brazil originally, now living in Florida, close to Hollandale, which he has on the number 24 machine here tonight. Of course, Hollandale in the greater Miami area as well, Miami/Fort Lauderdale, that southeast portion of Florida, as he peels off the racetrack. And I think that just leaves Keith Carball, who is trying to get a lap time in. Might be a little bit tight here, 23 seconds left on the clock. It's going to be close, so whether or not he's going to get a lap time in does not look like he's going to get a lap time in. If he does, I will be completely shocked. He's left it to the very last moment. He is green in the first 2 sectors, and that's because he has not put a lap time down to 1-0. Clock expires before he hits the start-finish line. That's going to do it. James Zorello, the number 13 machine, will be picking up your pole position here tonight. Let's see if we can bring up the starting lineup for the Signarama of Hollywood 156. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a great front row here tonight. Mitchell, James Arello, John Canazzaro Jr., we've seen those two duke it out many times before right here on 3 Wide TV. They are a good group of drivers to watch, and they will be starting at the forefront of the field. JT Poole, Ben Izenga, row number 2. David Harvey, Phillip Scott, row number 3, your points leader there in the number 99 in 6th. Jason Freeman, Kevin Stone in 7th and 8th. And rounding out your top 10 here tonight, Mike Floppy Tellier, got Tim Hortons on the hood of the number 97, and Bill Edwards will be starting in 10th.
Taking it in the 11th position is going to be Kyle Zimmer. J.D. Laird rolling off to his outside in the 12th position, followed by Robert Tripp and Vincent Valvano making up the row behind them. John Eckert and Fernando Matos in 16th. Keith Carbow 17th. Jack Hoyle 18th. Lupe Gonzalez starts 19th, and Steven Doziak Jr. rounds out your top 20, and then finishing off the field is Garrett Gleason, Brady Todd, and Jason Shue, who will round out your 23 car field here tonight.
So 23 cars here at Bristol, 156 laps. It is the Signarama of Hollywood 156. Checking out the chat here for the first time here tonight, we got the Windsors rooting on Bill Edwards, as they always are. Hope you're doing well, the Windsors, and hope you're enjoying your Monday night. Nilton Matos in the chat saying, "Hi, Peter. Heard news of your baby. I'm sure you'll be great parents." Thank you very much, Nilton. Our baby, George, was born this week on Wednesday, and we're all very excited for it. So luckily, I get to sneak away for about an hour and a half to give you the 3 Wide TV broadcast here tonight. And Garrett Gleason also saying congratulations to the shorts on parenthood. Let's have a good race, everyone. Let's have a good race indeed. Looking forward to it as you get a look there of the front straight. We'll be going green flag in 1 lap from now. You do get 2 pace laps, I should say, Mitchell, when you're here on the short tracks. And sometimes that makes me just a little bit more nervy because it takes a little bit longer to get green flag.
Yeah, and Bristol always a track that builds up my nerves. Always the short tracks seem to do it. And it is true, you have to sit in the car for a little bit longer before you can get rolling, but it is good to get the field time to form up, but I don't like it personally, but not the... Excuse me as I jumble up a bunch of words. First time I've done that tonight, so I made it a little while, but pace truck in 3 and 4, getting ready to take the field green. James Lorello going to lead them off to green. John Canazzaro on his outside. There goes the pace truck, and here we go, Peter.
Green flag waves, 156 laps here tonight. Couple of stage breaks in amongst the field, but we are green flag as John Canazzaro Jr. gets out to an early lead, side by side, battle back behind them between the Silent Syndicate Racing teammates. That is the 07. Ben Izenga got the WestJet on the 07 as he jets around the outside of Lorello. We go single file now for the first 5 or so cars. In fact, you have to go pretty much all the way back to Mike Floppy Tellier. This is a good battle between J.D. Laird, who had a really rough end to last week at Rockingham. We thought maybe J.D. Laird had a shot at the win, but some issues that went on throughout the race. He dropped well back in the field. Now, here comes Kyle Zimmer around the outside of Tellier, as Tellier has already dropped 3 spots here in the opening 3 laps.
Yeah, not the greatest start, losing a couple positions. Looking at the battle between JT Poole and the number 99 of Phillip Scott. Out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. JT Poole up in the preferred lane, which is going to be that high side here tonight. You see John Canazzaro used it to get a great start to the race, out to the race lead as JT and Phillip going to stay side by side down the back straightaway. They can't look too far because the 14 of Kevin Stone is right behind them. This Phillip almost had JT, but JT kept the throttle in it, powers down the front straightaway, and again, they're going to stay side by side. Kevin Stone just kind of sitting patiently, waiting to see who's going to get the edge here as we look at the field go by, and JT Poole gets the edge down the front straightaway now. Phillip fights back in the corner. JT up into the wall a little bit through turns 1 and 2. So this battle continues to rage on here. It's been several laps, and these two just will not stop.
Bob's Giaquinto joining us in the chat now. Bob, hopefully you enjoy your night off here from 3Y TV duty. I know you have other duty to attend to here tonight. That's why you're not in the booth. But some good side-by-side racing here early on. Here's J.D. Laird trying to pick up a spot. Already +3 positions. He'd be +4 if he can make the move on Jason Freeman. Looks like he can, so move him up into 8. That is impressive. That's 1 spot every other lap for J.D. Laird, although it's a pretty big gap now up to David Harvey in the number 77, who's lost a handful of positions since the drop of the green flag. Here's some good side-by-side racing a little bit further back. This is Robert Tripp racing with Jake Hoyle, the number 53 now joining in the mix, That is Lupe Gonzalez. Gonzalez, who had a pretty good race last week at Rockingham, gained quite a few positions. He's now up into 15th. Brady Todd, the 15 in front of him, though, Garrett Mitchell, is the biggest mover of the race as of right now. 8 positions in 12 laps. That is mighty impressive. But as you can see, a big gap up to the Klondike number 45 machine of John Eckhart, 4th, who runs in front of him.
Yeah, the field kind of spreading out a little bit early here. We've still got some battles up front right now. Ben Izanga and JT Poole getting into it. JT fighting on the inside this time. You see it there, the battle for 3rd. You've got 4 cars really under a blanket. Make it 5 behind him. Phillip Scott in the mix. So is David Harvey there in the number 77. And JD Laird's also not too far behind this one here. But right now, Ben Izanga is holding solid in that 3rd position. JT Poole wants it, but as the laps wind down, it's going to be harder and harder to make that inside lane work here. As you kind of saw John Canazzaro pretty much scooted away at the moment. James Lorello also separated himself a little bit from the field as you see him working around the racetrack. Now the battle is on for the 4th position. JT Poole falling back a little bit. He's fighting Kevin Stone. And watch out also for Phillip Scott on the high line if you're JT. So right now he's struggling to get that car working on the inside lane. You see Kevin Stone get a little bit close to the wall there out of turn 4, but kept it in one piece and kept it going straight. It looks like JT's going to have a chance to settle in here in that higher line if he wants to. But you can kind of see it if you're watching at home. JT's really struggling with that inside, just kind of the higher lane tends to be preferred the longer these runs go on, and you kind of just saw him struggle to make time. Of course, that's not going to scare off Phillip Scott, who's trying to make it work to get under Kevin Stone for the 4th position, but kind of going back single file, at least for now, except for JD Laird there in the back, trying to make some stuff happen. And as I say that, there's JT Poole to the inside as well of not Ben Izanga, Phillip Scott, and you're riding on board now with JD Laird. Get a great view of this battle here on board the number 46.
Yeah, some good battles happening right here at the head end of the field for sure. Very much, oh man, JD Laird almost getting into David Harvey there as they head off out of turn number 4. It's easy to lose your spot on this racetrack, both as a driver and when we're commentating here. Mitchell, I gotta say, I've learned my way around this racetrack. I kind of know the features now to decipher what end of the racetrack you're on. But for these drivers, sometimes the only thing you're focusing on is the road in front of you and the walls, and just trying to get that thing around you, not keying in on some of the key sights on the side of the racetrack to know whether or not you're in turn 1 or turn 3 sometimes. And that can come into play, especially if you get some green flag pit stops, because this is a racetrack, Mitchell, where you have 2 distinct, and we can kind of see that here, 2 distinct pit lanes, one on the front stretch and one on the back stretch.
Yeah, that's one of the most challenging parts of Bristol is those double pit lanes. You've got to know which to enter, because if you enter the wrong ones, very not good, and you're spending way more time down there than you need. I think, at least from my experience, I haven't raced at Bristol too much, but maybe only 2 or 3 starts. But I know turns 3 and 4 shaped a little bit differently than turns 1 and 2, which can make it really difficult if you're mixing up your corners, because you got to take the exit of turn 2 differently than you would take the exit of 4. So you've really got to stay on your toes here at Bristol. You can't fall asleep on it, because it's a very difficult track, and that can kind of go for all the short tracks is, man, Phillip Scott slid it in right on top of Kevin Stone. Barely made that move work. That'll put Kevin Stone to the inside. Now he's going to lose positions as caution out on the racetrack here. We are under the yellow flag for the first time tonight. See if we can figure out maybe what happened. We saw some great battling going on, but Peter's going to queue up the replay, and we'll get a look at exactly what happened to bring out the first yellow of the night.
Yeah, I believe it happened somewhere around here. Let's see if we can see. The 35 got in the wall. Vincent Valvano nowhere to go. And the 35 and the 64 coming together. We got a couple of beaten up race cars, excuse me. Let's see if we can see what happened here to Robert Tripp. That's the number 35 machine. And we can go on board. And this is very easy to do at this particular racetrack here. Mitchell, he comes up out of the corner. Boom, there's the wall. And just really nowhere for the 64 to go. We'll get another look at that on board with Vincent Valvano here. And watch that Chevy Camaro in front of him. Going through turn number 3 right here. No problem at all. But the 35 gets a little bit high out of the groove. The racetrack kind of narrows up there if you're that high up on the racetrack. And really no way for Vincent Valvano to respond to that. As you see the field flash on by. Caution flag number 1 coming out here. Now, one thing to note here, Mitchell, is we are not quite at the stage break. We got about 10 more laps. It will be at the end of lap number 40 when we will see the first stage caution here tonight in the Signarama 156. And speaking of Signarama, we have the Signarama logo there of Hollandale. And really, if you don't know what Signarama is, if you need a custom sign, you need something custom made for your business or something like that, Signarama is the place to go. And if you're in the South Florida area, for certain, you have to go to Signarama of Hollywood or Hollandale, depending on where you're exactly located, and make sure to check them out. So, thanks to Signarama for sponsoring tonight's 156 lap event here under the caution flag for the first time here. And Mitchell, been good racing so far. Bob Giaquinto, yellow flags in the chat, has joined the 3 Wide TV pit crew. Thank you, Bob, for throwing up those caution flag emotes. If you want to join the 3 Wide TV pit crew, you can for just $1 a month. Gets you custom access to the custom emotes. And some of those emotes are those caution flags like what Bob Giaquinto just did. We got the green flag emote. We got the 3Y TV logo, the retro 3Y TV logo, and also a kind of the fail screen right there, the blank screen. So anyway, if you want to join the 3Y TV pit crew, that is only $1 a month, and we really do appreciate your support here on the 3 Wide TV channel. It's a lot of fun with the chat. And what's the chat thinking of the racing here tonight? I think it's been really good, Mitchell. It took us 30 laps to see that first caution or so.
I think so too. We had racing side by side throughout that first 30 lap run, which is something we don't always see at Bristol. So these drivers definitely doing a great job putting on a show for us, and they're about to get right back to it as pace car lights are off, and John Canazzaro chose to take that high line. Not really surprised after the start he got up there on the initial race start. Green flag in the air, pace truck down, and John Canazzaro leading the field back to green with JT Poole. Very good restart for JT there up on the high line. James Lorello, though, able to slot down in the second place. JT trying to cross him over on the inside, but Ben Izanga is trying to get there. Izanga not quite able to get there. There goes Lorello down to the inside of John Canazzaro. Lorello trying to make the inside work, but Canazzaro fighting back on the outside. Good run, though, for James Lorello into the turn, and he is going to take the race lead here.
Race lead just 5 laps away from the stage caution, and that's important here, Mitchell, because they do pay out points for that stage caution. The winner of the stage gets 8 points, second gets 7, third gets 6, all the way back to the 8th spot, who only receives 1 point. But every spot matters right now, and John Canazzaro Jr., your early race leader, sliding back here. Lost another spot to JT Poole, and here comes the 07 Ben Iseng on the inside. He's going to take away third. Canazzaro here really sliding. He's going to jump down to the bottom side as David Harvey, the 77. New look on that number 77 here this week. That Toyota Supra that you see right there. He's whipped himself now up into fourth, and here comes JD Laird. He's going to take away fifth inside the top five for the first time here tonight, plus 7 spots from the drop of the green flag. Mighty impressive. At this moment in time, JD Laird is our biggest mover of the race, just 3 laps from when we see that stage caution. Can Laird pick up another spot here on the 77 of Harvey?
Yeah, JD Laird going to the inside, and here's the battle between John Canazzaro and Phillip Scott, first and second in points. They want those playoff points, or the stage points, excuse me, and this really gonna be critical who can get the lead. But a really bad start for John Canazzaro. Don't know quite what happened to him there, but he went from the lead all the way back to the 9th position now, so definitely not what John Canazzaro wanted to see as we are so close to the stage break here. Looking at the battle now still between JD Laird, and there is your stage caution. JD Laird was battling Jason Freeman. I better get that in there, but James Lorello gonna take home the win in stage number 1 here tonight. Strong run from him. Great job taking the race lead from John Canazzaro. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it work there, Peter, but very strong stage for James Lorello, and he's trying to he wants to make up for finishing second last week, coming so close to that race win at Rockingham.
And one thing to note, I know we were mentioning that battle between Phillip Scott and John Canazzaro Jr., first and second in points. Both of those drivers fell out of the top 8. Both of those drivers not scoring any points in this stage. So that could be very interesting in the points tally at the end of the night. Nilton Matos in the chat saying Signarama stores in Hollywood and Hollandale, are both theirs. Theirs being, of course, the Matos family. We've got Fernando racing here tonight. Fernando, we'll check in with Fernando as he is heading down pit road right now with just about everyone else running in the 19th position there, right behind the number 7 of Garrett Gleason. Interestingly enough, we do have Vincent Valvano, who becomes our first lucky dog of the night. And of course, it is the Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog Award, so add him to the tally. There is a end of season luckiest lucky dog who wins a little trophy, a little prize courtesy of Polyhedral Cathedral, and that's something we'll keep our eyes on all season long. Now, we did have some split strategies as well to talk about here, Mitchell, on lap number 42 or so. David Harvey, Mike Tellier, Lupe Gonzalez all have stayed out the entire race. Kyle Zimmer, the 51 who's running in third, also stayed out under this caution flag, but he came down on lap number 30 or so under our first caution flag of the night. So he's on fresher tires than the 3 cars around him, the 2 in front of him and the 1 behind him, but he elected to stay out under this particular caution flag. So James Dorello, who was your stage winner, first driver off pit road, JT Poole, Jason Freeman, JD Laird, John Canazzaro Jr., Phillip Scott, the next couple of cars. Biggest loser on pit road, you might ask? Well, it is Ben Izenga, right there in the 07 machine, who is dropping to the back of the field. Possible pit road speeding violation on the 07, which is absolutely killer at this racetrack. Looks like Bill Edwards has been served the same treatment by the iRacing speed police as they drop to the tail end of the field. Izenga falls to 18th, Bill Edwards to 19th, and we'll see whether or not Garrett Gleason can get around them. Maybe he has a penalty as well. If you're looking for Keith Carball, he's currently being scored 1 lap down, the only driver at this moment in time, I think, 1 lap down. And Robert Tripp, who is multiple laps down and looks like he's struggling with some connection problems as he just absolutely disappeared while watching him there on the camera. Looks like Robert Tripp might be falling through the session, so we'll see whether or not he can make it back out onto the racetrack. Here, before we go back, a green flag. We'll see our third green flag of the night. Get those green flag emotes in the chat because we're going green here on lap number 47, Mitchell, with David Harvey leading us to the green on no tires under this last round of pit stops.
Yep, Dave Harvey leading Mike Floppy Tellier on the inside to the race lead. Good start for both of them. They're going to be side by side down the back straightaway. We'll see who can get the edge here in turns 3 and 4. We've got a spinner back in the pack, and we've got a wreck back in the pack. You see him there coming out of the corner. A lot of drivers wrecking. Phillip Scott involved, the number 15 of Brady Todd involved in that one, as well as several others. Phillip Scott, your points leader coming into the night. That is definitely not what the driver of that number 99 wanted to see, as we're going to take a look back at it here on the 3-wide TV replay headed into turn number 3. Oh, you see down there on the inside, it just looked like car got loose on the number 20 of Jason Freeman, I believe. Yep, Jason Freeman, number 20, and just kind of caused other drivers to kind of get into it together. So we're going to get another look at it riding on board of somebody here. Don't quite know who that is. But you see him getting up into Phillip Scott. Phillip almost made it through that. Number 15, that is who we were on board with, of Brady Todd. Just went up the track slightly to try and avoid the wreck and got into Phillip Scott. So unfortunate for all those drivers. Now you're on board with the number 99. You see him up here just kind of minding his own business, and bam, there is the contact and driver stacking into him there. I believe it was the number 55. Maybe if Steven Doziak got caught up in that with absolutely nowhere to go either, and puts us under our third caution of the night, second one for an incident, but that one definitely caught up a lot more cars than we've seen so far tonight.
And look how lucky John Canazzaro Jr. is to kind of squeak through this. I thought that the 99 was going to be clear of it. I think he expected to be clear of it as well, but just kind of got tagged there by Brady Todd. The 14 of Kevin Stone also got a piece of it. That's a heavy lick, though, for the number 99, your points leader here in the Total Nonstop Racing Bagcraft Cornhole.com series here on Monday nights here on the channel, and those drivers all getting a couple of licks off of one another, so we will see how everything sorts out. Meanwhile, we are hearing that Keith Carbaugh under this caution flag is our Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog Award, so the 29 machine will be back on the lead lap here as we work lap number 56. I believe this is what, caution flag number 3, if my count is correct, Mitchell?
I believe it is number 3, and I do have a little update here because we have the Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog standings you talked about. That Lucky Dog for Keith Carbaugh is actually going to tie him for the lead of those standings with James Lorello, who is not in a position right now to be getting one of those Lucky Dogs. So Keith now up there racing for the lead of the Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog standing. So it's another little race within the race we got to keep our eye on here, but I think third caution, and definitely the biggest caution so far. Second for not the stage. Caught up quite a few of these drivers here. Phillip Scott, definitely, I think, huge implications for Phillip in the number 99. Needed a good race here to stay up in the points lead, and now the other drivers he's racing with are still kind of up running at the front. And there's the number 15 of Brady Todd going to catch the field, but pace truck lights are off, looking back up front, and front row stayed the same as it was before. You got Dave Harvey. I'm seeing Mike Floppy Tellier is actually a race leader here on the inside, but same order there. Green flag back in the air. Great start for Tellier down there on the inside, leading the field into turns 1 and 2, and we're back under green.
Back under green flag. The field all getting going nice and neat as they head off into turn number 3 and Looks like there's some good action up at the front of the field, so let's focus on that. We're looking at David Harvey here. It's 3 wide at Bristol on 3 wide TV. You don't see 3 wide at Bristol very often. They continue to go 3 wide as JD Laird shoots up the middle. David Harvey on the high side has to back out. That's the old tires talking as caution flag has come out. Surprisingly, not a caution flag for that group right there. Let's see if we can see what happened here to bring out this particular caution flag. Looks like the 84 machine there of Vincent Valvano might have got a little bit squirrely there, similar to what we just saw happen to Jason Freeman. Let's see if we can get maybe one more look at that to make sure that he didn't get any help there, Mitchell, or anything like that. But let's see, get a look at it here, and oh, there was a little bit of help. That's the number 25 machine, Jake Hoyle, who just gave a little bit of a love tap to that number 64 to spin him around. But caution flag out again. And one thing I want to mention, Mitchell, here in this particular series, as I believe Brady Todd will get waived by the iRacing pace car. Maybe has, maybe hasn't. We'll see whether or not Brady Todd gets the lap back, because I think he was being scored 1 lap down. Maybe you can do some research on whether or not Brady Todd did receive. Oh, there he goes. I think he's now receiving that Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog Award. I thought maybe he wasn't going to get it. So there is Brady Todd whipping on by the field. Was the first car 1 lap down. The only car 1 lap down was the number 64 of Vincent Valvano, is now the only driver 1 lap down. I think he lost a lap in that spin. But it was some unbelievably hard racing there up at the front of the field, Mitchell. 3 wide at Bristol. You do not see that very often at all. In fact, let's see if we can go back on a 3 wide TV replay and catch up on some of that action. Watch Jamie Laird here. He has a great view of this. He was involved in some of the 3 wide TV action. This is a replay, folks. We're not quite live yet. We're not racing at this moment in time, but there was just some really tough racing in this pack to try and pick up every spot. Look at James Lorello. Lorello forces it 3 wide right there. Mitchell, I thought right there they were going to be junked as they made a little bit of contact there in turn number 3.
I mean, they couldn't have gotten any closer than they did there in turn 3. Great job by all those drivers keeping it going straight and putting on some great racing for us, and especially with a mix of old and new tires in there, that's very difficult to do. So a ton of credit to all those drivers there, as I do think Vincent Valvano is, according to my story at least, I think he stayed on the lead lap through all of that. So currently we only have Robert Tripp not on the lead lap, but I do think he ended up losing his connection, unfortunately, so not going to be making it out on track. Well, actually, he reconnected to the server, so we may be seeing him here in just a second, but everybody back on the lead lap, so nobody in a position to get that Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog next time around, unless some drivers go back 1 lap down under this run, which is very possible at such a short track like this. But pace car lights are off. Mike Tellier going to lead the field back to green, except this time it's Kyle Zimmer on those slightly newer but also still old tires, who's going to be starting there in the high line. And then it's James Lorello and JT Poole who are going to make up the second row on some fresher tires.
And how about that Signarama number 51 Ford Mustang on the front row for this upcoming restart in the Signarama of Hollywood 156. If you're wondering when the next stage caution will be, it will be on lap number 90 here tonight. Green flag waves again, however, as Mike Tellier gets on that loud pedal well early, and he's going to lead him by a good margin as they head off into turn number 1. Here comes James Lorello looking on the inside. He gets a little bit loose, has to check up. Coming out of turn number 2 behind Kyle Zimmer. That gives that spot directly to the Signarama number 51 machine. JD Laird side by side with JT Poole. We saw these 2 drivers feature prominently in the early running of last week's race at Rockingham Speedway. Unfortunately, did not go the way their night wanted it to go at the end of this race. As here comes the 13. Lorello now looking to the inside. Some great racing here at the front of the field. Lorello, of course, on fresher tires, and Kyle Zimmer squeaks on by. But Mitchell, I'm just watching these cars, and they're a lot looser than I expected them to be. I think Morello's number 13 might have skipped out on those. Kyle Zimmer's in the outside wall. We again go 3 wide on 3 wide TV. I want to say we've been 3 wide more here tonight than we were back at Daytona a couple of weeks ago. Mighty impressive out of these Total Nonstop Racing BagcraftCornhole.com drivers as Lorello looks to get to right where he was at the end of stage number 1, now out front here tonight.
Yeah, James Lorello doing a good job making his way up through the field. JT Poole and JD Laird are trying to follow him. They're kind of locked in a side-by-side battle right now, and there goes JD Laird going to clear JT Poole, and he's going to try and get around the 97 of Mike Tellier, but it does seem like these drivers struggling with the handle on these cars just a little bit, as there goes JT Poole. Ooh, I don't know if they were 3 wide or he was just thinking about it, but JT Poole almost made it 3 wide. I think they were for just a second, and that'll allow JD Laird to get into the 2nd position. I think Mike Tellier kind of checked up out of that on his older tires, and JT Poole going to get through. John Canazzaro trying to follow him, but I think you were right on the money. Going back to I think for the 2nd time now I'm going to do is, it seems like, especially on the shorter run, I feel like they're struggling with getting loose, and it's probably because the tires are really cold. You've got a colder racing surface because we're running in the night, so maybe a little bit of a struggle, but I think more than anything, Bristol's just really tough on tires, and I think it's an issue we're going to be seeing throughout the night. Is there we get the exact number, 82 degrees or 86 degrees is the track, which is relatively cool compared to what we do most weeks here, so that is going to be something these drivers have to factor in here. As you see another good battle with the number 14 of Kevin Stone getting up into the wall, maybe just a little bit. If not, he was very, very close to it. Getting around the 51 of Kyle Zimmer, who's dropped back through the field a little bit since this race went green, on board with Kevin Stone now. Turns 1 and 2. See the battle for the lead very briefly there. JD Laird's caught James Lorello, but not much going on up there at the moment. These drivers favoring the low line right now, which is something we haven't seen much of in this race, Peter. As you see, last time around, all 3 of the top 3 were down there on that inside. Of course, James Lorello moved up last time, and there he goes back to the inside on board with JD Laird, who's trying to make the pass happen, but not really finding it so far. As you see, Lorello is switching lanes. In turns 3 and 4, he goes to the high side. In turns 1 and 2, he's running low, and that is an option these drivers have. It just kind of depends on their preference, but you see the lap time comparison. JD made quite a bit of time there, but right now he's giving it back to James Lorello.
Yeah, some good graphics as we're about 15 laps away from seeing our 2nd stage break of the night. If you're just now joining us, James Lorello won stage number 1, trying to go back-to-back here in the stages and pick up a full 16 bonus points out of the 16 bonus points on offer in the stages here tonight. As caution flag waves. We saw this at the end of the stage number 1. We're about 10 laps away from the stage caution. We had an accident. We have another one here. The Tim Hortons number 97 of Mike Tellier, we hear, is involved in this one, as John Eckhart, the 4th, and the 97 have it coming together. Those 2 machines ending up together in the inside wall. I'm going to have to go back and get another look at this one from maybe high atop the 3 wide TV air cam. We'll see exactly what happened here as Lupe Gonzalez thought about taking it 3 wide. There we go. Put on the slow motion camera. John Eckhart, the 4th. You know, you look at that right there. Let's go look at the turn 1. Now, that's not going to give us a good picture. I guess right here, probably the best angle we're going to get. Let's see if we can get maybe another angle or 2 here. Yeah, I guess that's a good one. John Eckhart, the 4th here. Mitchell, as we rewind this just a little bit, probably expecting the 97 of Tellier to be a little bit closer to the outside wall, washes up just a smidgen, and I've seen that exact accident probably 1,000 times in sim racing over the years.
I think I've been involved in that exact incident maybe once or twice in my sim racing careers. It's a very easy thing to do. That car on the outside I mean, he had a little more room to give toward the wall, but really, you can't fault him, I don't think, for not driving all the way up to the wall, and then it can be just so difficult to keep that car down when you're on the inside lane. It's really just a racing incident that tends to happen here at Bristol, especially down in turn 4, which I think is the trickier of the two exits compared to turn 1 and 2, because it really seems to close in when you're out there. It's really difficult to see from here, but I feel like when I'm out there driving, I always feel like that turn 4 wall just comes up so fast, and it's just a very difficult thing to get your grasp on. I know I struggle with it. It's why I'm not very good here at Bristol. So these drivers definitely doing a very good job so far, though. Only our 4th caution and our 3rd for a wreck. But we are within 10 laps to go to the stage, so we're going to have a little shootout on our hands when we go back green to see who can pick up some stage points here, Peter.
That is for sure. You're looking right there at the Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog Award, the number 99 of Phillip Scott, who, well, Mitchell, he's lost his rear bumper, lost the rear spoiler, but that crew is going to work trying to get just a little bit extra damage repaired on Ninja Phil's machine. Had a great run last week at the Rockingham Speedway, finishing on the podium. Now gets back out there onto the racetrack as the Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog under this particular caution flag. James Arello is your race leader. Caution lights are off on the iRacing pace truck, so we'll be going green this time by. Robert Tripp joined us in the chat. Robert, I think, went back out there and ran just 2 or 3 laps or so, Mitchell. But unfortunately, I think those connection issues have gotten the better of him here tonight. Hopefully, Robert, you can sit back, relax, and watch the remaining 70 laps or so here on 3 Wide TV with us. Let us know what your thoughts are of the race here tonight. As Pace Truck heads down pit road, green flag back in the air. We'll see another caution flag in 8 laps from now, because we'll have the second stage end, as here comes J.D. Laird. Started this race in 12th, now going for the race lead to the inside of James Arello.
Yeah, J.D. Laird trying to do his best to fight James Lorello for this race lead. Oh, contact between J.D. Laird and John Canazzaro out of turn 4. Going to bring out another caution here. Big race consequences here for J.D. Laird. He went from fighting for the lead to now he is wrecked and way back in the field. You're going to get another look at it here on the 3 Wide TV replay. You see J.D. Laird on the inside out of turn 4. We'll get a look. Watch John Canazzaro in the 12 right behind him. We'll try and see. I think that's another incident really there where JD expected John to give him more room, and John was trying to pinch down JD off the corner, and it's going to create a little coming together. We'll get another look at it here from another angle. Yeah, you see those two just get together. I don't really know. That's just kind of another racing incident, I think, Peter.
Yeah, that kind of thing is a little bit difficult. You know, you're hoping that, you know, and we say, oh, you know, J.D. Laird might have washed up the racetrack as we have interesting strategies. This, I believe, is going to count as the stage caution, Mitchell. So I don't think we will have a separate caution between now and lap number 90. So I think this is when stage points are being awarded. That is typically the rule, that if they're within 5 laps. And Garrett Gleason confirming this is indeed the stage break here in the 3 Wide TV chat. Thank you very much, Garrett. So the points will go to James Arello, 16 points out of 16 here tonight in the stages. So how about that? Great job by Lorello and crew, trying to bounce back after being runner-up last week at Rockingham Speedway. Getting those extra bonus points, as I believe Brady Todd might be our lucky dog under this particular caution. Something that we may need to investigate. Mitchell, hopefully you can pick up whether or not Brady Todd was a lucky dog. In fact, let's see if we can maybe do some investigation together. Here's some the 3Y TV investigative research. Of course, we have to do that because of the Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog Award and all that it has to kind of provide. And it looks like Brady Todd, at least was in my books, was our dog. But let's get back out there onto the racetrack. Caution flag coming out here just before the stage break, so that counts as a stage break. But going back to the incident, I agree with you, Mitchell. That's kind of a racing deal. You would hope that, if you're JD Laird, you'd hope that maybe you get a little bit of slack because we still have 70 or so laps to go. We'll make that 67 or so this time by. You're hoping to get just that little bit of slack, but the lap count's winding down. You have stage points on the line. You might not get as much slack with these stages as you would if there were no stages. So Canazzaro, in my opinion, could have lifted. For sure could have lifted. But when you're here at this particular racetrack, it's the last great Colosseum, the bull ring, whatever you want to call it. Things happen extremely, extremely quickly. JD Laird might have got tight down there on the inside line. He might not have been able to hook that low line like he wanted to. Might have got, conversely, might have got a little bit loose, slid up the racetrack in front of the number 12. There are certain things that JD Laird, that could have been the card he was dealt at that moment in time as he washed up the racetrack. And on the other hand, John Canazzaro Jr., he might have been able to check up. So that, in my opinion, a racing deal because two drivers tried to go for the same real estate. Green flag is back out now as David Harvey, the number 77 machine, is out front, pitted on lap number 79 here. So interesting call by Harvey to pit under the caution. Oh, now the number 12 machine is going around back there. That is John Canazzaro Jr. who is going around, able to get that car pointed in the right direction again. But that will bring out another caution flag, and unfortunately, this time it is the number 12 of John Canazzaro Jr. who goes for a little bit of a loop. Mitchell, let's see if we can break down exactly what happened here as the number 12 went around.
Yeah, we're going to have to pull it up here on our 3Y TV replay, but here you go on the restart. They are not green quite yet. You're looking at John Canazzaro, we're right on board with him. There goes the pace truck, and here they go, green flag in the air. Looks like a pretty clean start here. As they go through turns 1 and 2, you see them 2x2 pretty much through the field. After that restart, Ben Izenga's behind him. See James Lorello take it 3 wide and maybe causes a little bit of a checkup that the 07 of Ben Izenga doesn't really no way to see that, and gets into the back of John Canazzaro there. But just kind of another one where you're racing inches apart from each other and will ride on the back. You see him there, just Izenga I think Canazzaro had to check up slightly for Lorello in front of him possibly, and there's no way for the 12 to see that. And you're going to be able to see that right here, riding on board with Ben Izenga in the number 12. You see already just a couple of feet behind John Canazzaro, and then he checks ups, and there's really nothing Ben Izenga or John Canazzaro can do. It's just kind of John Canazzaro in the wrong place at the wrong time there, unfortunately gets spun around, but does have those second place stage points to go back on, at least for now. But he's going to find himself well outside the top 10, outside the top 15, I believe. So a lot of ground to make up here now for John Canazzaro.
So we're going to have to do just a little bit of research again to see who our Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog was under this particular caution flag. I'm not 100% sure who it may have been, whether or not maybe we didn't have any at all under this particular caution flag. That might very well be the case because of the amount of back-to-back caution flags we have. John Canazzaro Jr. coming down pit road under this particular caution flag. Stephen Doziak Jr., JT Poole also coming down. Phillip Scott, of course, been on the lead lap for a while. So definitely a caution flag to forget about. And one thing to mention here that is an interesting rule in the Total Nonstop Racing League. I've seen other leagues, Mitchell, that do strikes, 2 strikes and you're out, 3 strikes and you're out in terms of of how many caution flags you cause, how many incidents you cause out there on the racetrack. But in the Total Nonstop Racing League, if a caution flag comes out in the first 8 laps, that is deemed to be your fault, so not a racing incident, you actually get double points. You get 2 strikes, and I say points, I shouldn't be using points because they don't go in the points tally. They are strikes against you. So if you cause a caution in the first 8 laps, after a restart, you get double strikes. And we might see a couple of drivers earning double strikes here tonight with the amount of caution flags we have seen. I think Jason Freeman in the number 20 will be one of those who will get double strikes here tonight for his self-spin in turns number 2 and 3, perhaps maybe even Vincent Valvano in the number 64 machine. But we will see whether or not that happens next week when we roll into round 4 of the Bagcraft Grand National Series. Green flag is back in the air here in the Signarama of Hollywood 156, and David Harvey having some connection issues. He's back on the racetrack, but I was a little bit concerned there for a second, Mitchell, because the 77 just disappeared at the front of the field.
Yeah, luckily he kind of scooted away already, so not much harm to anyone else, but, well, there is a little bit of harm for the number 29 of Keith Carbow on this restart, when we'll have to get back on the replay and see what exactly happened. And like you said, we have had some quick cautions here lately, especially, so those strikes are something to keep in mind. As you see, JT Poole tried to send it up to the inside of the 29, and kind of looked like the 29 was trying to get down in front of JT to cover that spot, and unfortunately wasn't able to get down quick enough. You see JT Poole make the lunge. Could call it late depending on your judgment there. I'm not gonna make that call myself. Leave that toward the officials here in Total Nonstop Racing, whose responsibility it is to do that. But you see, I mean, JT Poole couldn't have gone any lower than that, but also it was very close to being in that corner. So really it's just up to your interpretation of the wreck. But contact between JT Poole and the number 29 of Keith Carbow, bringing out another caution. Maybe I lost my count, I think, but it may be number 7. Do not hold me to that by any means, but maybe caution number 7 or 8 here tonight.
Yeah, caution flag coming out. We're losing track of how many caution flags we have had, especially with the slew we've had over the last 40 laps or so. TYB 323 in the chat. Hopefully you're doing well. You know, you have to be up early tomorrow there, TYB. So thanks for joining us along on 3 Wide TV. Just about 50 or so laps to go when we go back green. Johnny Williams also in the chat as well, saying good luck all and hello to the booth. Johnny, shame you're not out there on the racetrack right now. Bob Giaquinto, absolutely right, Bob. JD Laird has had nothing but bad luck so far this season. Still not exactly sure what happened to him last week at Rockingham Speedway. JT Poole, we know what happened to him at Rockingham Speedway last week. He had get this, folks, Microsoft decided to update right in the middle of his race. And I'm not sure if Microsoft did not like iRacing because it was running at the same time that it decided to update, but he had to reinstall iRacing after the Windows update was completed. So not only did Windows kick him off of his PC while he was in the lead of the race, but then you all had to go back and reinstall iRacing. So JT Poole, your winner from Daytona, was having a stellar start to the race at Rockingham. Did not pan out. Johnny Williams saying car trouble. That is a shame, Johnny. Hopefully you get that all squared away and you can be out on the racetrack next week here on 3 Wide TV. And speaking of next week, well, folks, we got a great race for you lined up. We're going to Darlington, the throwback event right here in the Total Nonstop Racing BagcraftCornhole.com series. Gonna be a fun one. Love going to Darlington. It's a tough racetrack, much like Bristol is, and we're seeing that here tonight with this flurry of yellows here mid-race. But we do have to crown a winner here in the Signarama of Hollywood. 156 is the 64 Bob, assuming not Bob Giaquinto. That's Vincent Valvano. Got Bob on my mind looking at the chat. But it looks like the 64 gets on by and becomes your Polyhedral Cathedral lucky dog. A late lucky dog here under this caution flag as we go back green here, Mitchell.
Yeah, back under green once again. Dave Harvey still leading this field to green with Bill Edwards in second. Here comes Mike Floppy Tellier in the number 97 up the inside of Bill Edwards to take that second position. Lupe Gonzalez is right there in his number 53, fighting Bill for the third position, but we've got a spin. Back in the pack, caution flag flies once again as trouble for Kyle Zimmer headed out of turn number 4. We're going to have to dial up the replay, and riding on board with the number 51. This is down the back straightaway. Here goes turns 3 and 4. We'll see exactly what happens. Looks like a bit of a checkup, and the number 46 of J.D. Laird. Very similar situation to our last caution. A checkup, the car behind really couldn't see, and unfortunately Kyle Zimmer gets the worst of that one, although it looks like that race car has managed to stay pretty clean. We'll ride on board with J.D. Laird through turns 3 and 4 to get you what he was looking at. You see the number 51 just start to check up, and there's very little time for J.D. Laird to react, and unfortunately that puts us back under caution once again here on about lap 105 here they just took.
Yeah, you said it. There's just not a lot of time to react at this racetrack. You're whipping your way around at about 120 miles an hour in the corner, and if there's a checkup, especially, you know, these drivers don't have x-ray vision. They cannot see in front of the car in front of them. They can ever so slightly, but if you're in one of those positions where you're unable to, that's going to happen. And unfortunately, that is going to bring out the caution as one of our Signarama cars falls into trouble. Now, the Klondike Bar 45 Chevy Camaro here whipping his way around the high side of the racetrack is your Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog under this caution. So add an extra 1 to the Klondike Bar Chevy. And I have to ask the question, Mitchell, what would you do for a Klondike Bar? I mean, that's we answered this question last week here on the channel. Bob Giaquinto and I, and Bob cracked a very good joke about how these drivers might be melting under the pressure at last week at Rockingham. What would you do for a Klondike Bar?
It's a very philosophical question. It's very difficult to sum up in a short period of time, and I'll try my best to do it here. When I was younger, I would always say, when people ask me that question, I would always say, well, I would go to the store and buy a Klondike Bar for a Klondike Bar, but I'll try and be a little more creative than that.
That's a really boring answer.
I know it is, so I'm going to spice it up a little bit. Well, not really, because I kind of forgot about it, and I got to make an answer up on the fly, which is why I'm stalling a little bit here. But I mean, I would go out and drive all these pace laps for these drivers for a Klondike Bar. I think I would be willing to do that if it meant I'd get a Klondike Bar. It's a lot of pace laps lately, but I don't know about you, Peter, but I feel like that's a little bit to give.
So are you saying that beginning next week we'll have a Mitchell Adams pace car out there on the racetrack? Just you just go out there for the pace laps. Just go out there. You won't have any twinkly lights like the iRacing pace truck. But is that something maybe we can arrange? That'd be a lot of fun to have you out there as the pace truck, and then you could mess around with the field. That'd be a lot of fun. In fact, I wish iRacing would allow people to be the pace truck. I think that would be a really cool feature, and something that has been kind of on my iRacing wish list since iRacing came out back in like 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. I was like, why can't we drive the pace car? Please, let us drive the darn pace car, pace truck, whatever. And they still haven't added that feature. So maybe they'll do it at some point, because it'd be fun, and then you get your Klondike Bar. Green flag, however, back in the air. The Mitchell Adams, you would not be driving anymore because of green flag waves. David Harvey in that number 77 on slightly different pit strategy to some of the drivers behind him is your race leader, Phil Edwards, back there struggling in the SSR machine, the S2R Chevy Camaro on the inside line, getting passed by James Urello, his teammate. Now here comes Kevin Stone, the Famucci wearer, number 14 to the high side. Here comes John Canazzaro Jr. As Ben Izenga might have had a little bit of contact from behind with J.D. Laird. That inside line just not going anywhere at all right now.
Yeah, no, really the inside lane stalled out here. Bill Edwards struggling to get back up in the outside. Here he's losing a lot of positions and a lot of time down there. You see James Lorello, his teammate, trying to find some speed down there as well, trying to get around the number 14 of Kevin Stone, but so far Kevin doing a good job on the outside lane, got up close to the wall again, trying to maximize the momentum for that number 14. Watch John Canazzaro Jr. in the number 12 car right behind these two. We'll see if John will try and make it 3 wide or possibly just follow through, as I think number 14 got up a little bit too high there into the wall. Caution flag, though, back on the racetrack. I'm back out on the racetrack from a Klondike bar, and we're going to dial it up on the 3Y TV replay to find exactly what happened this time around. Looking at Ben Izanga in the number 07. Oh, the spin was in front of him. The number 20 of Jason Freeman got sideways there in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Nowhere for the 07 to go, as we're going to have to go get another look at that one. You see Jason Freeman battling with JT Poole. Maybe got into JT a little bit in the number 46 of JD Laird. A lot of JTs and JDs out there. JD Laird gets into the back of the number 20 and spins him around in turns 1 and 2, and that's going to put us under the yellow again. This is... JT Poole got sideways. They were close. I don't know if there was actually contact, but they definitely got close. But we can tell you for sure, folks, the number 46 and the number 20 did get close, and they made contact, and one thing led to another, and we're back out again, and making me earn my Klondike bar out here if I were actually out driving there tonight.
Yeah, I guess that's the question for the chat, whether or not you think Mitchell Adams deserves a Klondike bar every time he goes out on the racetrack, or just a Klondike bar for being kind of the doing his civil duties of being the pace vehicle. You're riding on board, though, with David Harvey, who is your race leader here with what is just on 40 laps to go in tonight's Signarama of Hollywood 156. Bob Giaquinto says he'll pay in Klondike bar if Mitchell is the designated pacer in his next TNR race. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I've actually run certain leagues in the past, Mitchell, that have a full iRacing suite of race control with, them monitoring and holding when pit road is open and closed and how many laps there's going to be. Very interesting stuff that you can do as a race control that I've never seen done on ovals. I've seen it done more on the road course side of things, but it is very interesting that you can do some of that stuff at iRacing, and it's honestly underutilized. But still, no one can be the darn pace truck. Why iRacing? We need that feature. It'd be a lot of fun. But Mike Floppy Tellier is in second in the number 97 machine. We'll see actually if we can get a quick word with him under this caution flag, just to break up the monotony of these caution flags. That, of course, is if the pace truck lights do not go off here, and if they do turn off, well, we'll leave him be. And looks like he's going to have connection problems, and the pace truck lights do turn off. So probably a good thing we did not interview Mike Floppy Tellier there. So we'll let him get settled in, go back in the Timmy's number 97 up there towards the head end of the field. If you're wondering who the biggest race mover is so far, well, Lupe Gonzalez, who was a big mover at Rockingham Speedway 1 week ago, currently plus 15 positions in the number 53. Biggest loser of the race here tonight so far is Jason Freeman, who is on pit road in his Mason-Dixon racing machine and is going to go down multiple laps. Green flag back in the air for Harvey. He gets on the loud pedal early. He's going to get a big run as he heads off into towards turn number 1. Side-by-side action back behind them. John Canazzaro Jr. whipping to the high side of Lupe Gonzalez. JD Laird, who's been involved in a couple of those accordion accidents, just racing deals here at Bristol. Things happen so quick because you're whipping around this racetrack in an absolute hurry here on board with the number 53 machine. You can see the leaders start to close in on one another. Harvey leads Tellier. Gonzalez holding to that low line, and looks like John Canazzaro Jr. finally able to get around 53. JD Laird follows Canazzaro on through, and here comes JT Poole, Mitchell.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle for Lupe Gonzalez on the inside. I think we've seen that inside lane start to go away the further we get into this race, and as we see the aggression level pick up, drivers are going to be giving less, and it just gets harder and harder. Good battle, though, back in the pack. You see Fernando Matos there in the number 24. He's got a hard-charging number 15 of Brady Todd. Bill Edwards in the number 50 also right there, as well as quite a few other drivers. Steven Doziak jumping to the inside of the number 24, Ben Izanga. Number 25 of Jake Hoyle. A bunch of cars under a blanket here. This is the battle right now for the 13th position. Brady Todd in that number 15 has it at the moment. Good battle between Ben Izanga, Steven Doziak, who are both missing the front end of their race cars due to some incidents at some point throughout the night. So both of them have no front bumper. Well, they've kind of got the very basic structure of it there on the inside, but could probably still use it if the need arose. See the number 25 of Jake Hoyle looking under Ben Izanga. The battle, though, up here starting to heat up a little bit. JT Poole going to get in front of the number 46 of JD Laird. There goes Lupe Gonzalez there to the inside, and there goes Kevin Stone as well, making some time up on the 46. So dropping a lot of positions quick is JD Laird, and JT Poole now going to go up and take the fight to John Canazzaro for the 4th position. Remember, John Canazzaro came into tonight second in points and led a lot of laps early on. Kind of been an up and down night. We saw him involved in a wreck not too long ago, but John Canazzaro already back up in the top 5, and things not settling down back here is maybe a little bit of contact between the number 25 of Jake Hoyle and Ben Izanga in the 07. Here comes Garrett Gleason in the number 7 up into this battle. I hadn't talked too much about Garrett Gleason tonight, but he is definitely mixing it up back there with those guys. JT Poole, John Canazzaro continue to fight. Lupe Gonzalez trying to, well, he's willing John Canazzaro through there so that maybe he can follow him on that outside lane, but this battle's kind of letting those top 3 break away. Dave Harvey still pulls the lead. Mike Floppy Tellier second, and James Lorello third. And there, JT Poole finally going to get around the number 12 of John Canazzaro as we have just 25 laps to go.
25 laps left here in the Signarama of Hollywood. 156, make that 24. As the leaders flashed on by the start-finish line. David Harvey still holding on to a decent lead, about 2/10 over Tellier. James Arello, who has won stage number 1 and stage number 2 here tonight, looking for the clean sweep in 3rd, and also looking for his 2nd consecutive podium, might I mention as well. David Harvey, who had a late race shot at the win, as caution flag is out once again. We'll have to re-rack the field here in a moment because we're hearing something has happened to the number 51 Signarama of Hollandale Ford Mustang. Let's see if we can see what happened here to Kyle Zimmer in turn number 1 and 2. Looks like he just might have got a little love tap from the number 15 of Brady Todd, and that's not a love tap with the inside wall. Absolutely trying to mow down the safer barrier there. Hopefully the 51 is not all too badly damaged, but let's see if we can get another look at this one, and let's see if we can measure that level of contact here. Brady Todd sending it off into turns number 1 and 2. Just a small little tap, just enough that Kyle Zimmer wasn't able to save it. And oh, Ben Izanga got a piece of that as well. Didn't see that first time, Mitchell. But unfortunately for Kyle Zimmer, his night has kind of been petering out, unfortunately, with being involved in a couple of late race accidents.
Yeah, I think he maybe would have gotten that thing saved, but the contact with Ben Izanga kind of was the last straw there, and that car unfortunately hard into the inside wall, like you had said, Peter. But we're getting down to the closing stages of this race, and we see some drivers going down pit road here under this caution. John Canazzaro, JD Laird, as well as a couple others, I believe, are down pit road. So some interesting strategy calls late here. Is there enough time to make some new tires work? Well, we'll just have to see. I see Fernando Matos down pit road as well. The 51 down, probably more for repairs than tires, but So a little bit of a mixed bag on strategy here late in the race as well, but I really like Dave Harvey. We've seen it, especially later in the race, get kind of difficult to pass, so I like where Dave Harvey's at this point in the race.
Yeah, I like Harvey's strategy as well because, Mitchell, if we go back and talk about when this pass for the lead was made, it was actually made, believe it or not, on pit strategy. Let's see if we can go back and bring up the pit strategy for the top 10 drivers here. And David Harvey, Mike Floppy Telly are currently running 1-2. They've only made one pit stop here tonight. Came on lap number 79. That was 7 laps before the what was eventually the stage caution. And look at James Morello. He pitted under that stage caution. Might have only had an extra lap or two of green flag running between what Harvey and Tellier have on their tires and what Lorello has in third. The big difference, though, is, of course, Harvey and Tellier have that track position over the number 13 machine of Lorello. So they use that pit strategy by pitting once less, but pitting just a handful of laps before everyone else to get up to the front. And we're down to just 18 laps to go. If they can hold on to that track position here, it could be a big win for David Harvey, who has returned to the Total Nonstop Racing League this season for the Bagcraft Cornhole.com Grand National Series. I don't know if Harvey has won here in the reboot of Total Nonstop Racing League. I'll have to go back and maybe do a little bit of research, but Harvey, not a stranger to victory lane in the Total Nonstop Racing League. Won a couple of races back in the Total Nonstop Racing NASCAR Racing 2003 season days back in the 2000s. Now back out front. 18 laps to go. Green flag going to be in the air. Tellier on the inside. Harvey on the outside. Great restart for that number 77 as they head towards turn number 1.
Yep, he's gotten a lot of great starts tonight. Had another one there. Thought maybe JT Poole would be able to get the number 97 through 1 and 2. He doesn't, but JT Poole now fighting on the inside lane, trying to get up to that second position. You see Phillip Scott in the number 99. We had talked about him earlier in the race with a ton of damage. Well, that crew's done a great job getting that car fixed up. Phillip Scott now in the 4th position. So Phillip right back in this race as JT Poole trying to take the fight again in the number 97 of Mike Floppy Tellieres. Caution on the racetrack once again is going to stop all the action for now, as we're going to find it once again on your 3-wide TV replay, which has gotten plenty of work here tonight. Looking at the number 15 of Brady Todd. Now looking at Stephen Doziak there and Garrett Gleason as well. Try to see if we can find it. Looks like the number 55 got a little bit loose out of the corner. He may have had a little help from Garrett Gleason. I'm not completely sure. Gonna have to get another look at it to make sure, because that was awfully close. Here they are headed out of turn 2, so coming out of 3 and 4 this time. You see the number 7 of Garrett Gleason with the run up top. I think Gleason thought that Stephen Doziak was going to leave. Oh, you see, I think it was Fernando Matos got a big piece of that there. Headed into turns 1 and 2, but I think Garrett Gleason thought the 55 was going to leave that outside lane open for him, and that lane closed up. And, well, there's another example. I think you've said it so far tonight, Peter. Just two drivers fighting for the same real estate. Doesn't really work out, as you see Fernando Matos there. Almost made it through it, but couldn't quite miss that spinning number 55.
Yeah, look out back of the 55, Stephen Doziak here. We'll get one more look of this contact. And yeah, just a nudge. Enough to send the 55 to the inside wall. So let's see if we can get some live scenes. Do not believe we had a Polyhedral Cathedral lucky dog under the last couple of cautions, because all the drivers are off the racetrack that are more than one lap down. But I have been doing a little bit of research, and I don't necessarily want to jinx it here, Mitchell, but David Harvey, since returning to the Total Nonstop Racing League in its iRacing reboot, been probably 10 years or so since Total Nonstop Racing League was last in the NASCAR Racing 2003 season. But his best finish, and he's done it a couple of times, mainly in the 358 Modified Series. He's finished second at Weed Sports, second at Limaland, did get a second at Myrtle Beach in the BagcraftCornhole.com Grand National Series back in February of 2021. But that's it. The best finish he's had is second. He's done it a couple of times, trying to seal the deal here tonight and get his first win in the Bagcraft Cornhole.com Grand National Series. And that would be huge for David. I mean, he's been out for a while, took most of last season off. In fact, didn't run any races between May of 2021 and February of 2022 here in TNR. That, you did the math. That is about 6-7 months away from Total Nonstop Racing League. Got an 8th at Daytona, a 5th last week at Rockingham. Had a shot of winning that race if things had played out maybe a little bit differently. And here tonight, in with a big chance of winning this race. Also, got to give a big shout out to the driver sitting in third here. That is Phillip Scott. We did have some drivers come down pit road. Bill Edwards, Lupe Gonzalez, they came down pit road under this, the last caution. And Lupe Gonzalez, John Canazzaro Jr., John Eckhart, Jake Cole. Those drivers all on fresh tires. Could be interesting to see if those drivers on fresh tires, they just pitted, can make their way back up to the front, but I like where Harvey is because green flag waves, and who knows whether or not we'll see another caution flag between now and when the checkered flag falls in the Signarama of Hollywood 156. Harvey already out to a good jump here, Mitchell.
Yeah, very good start once again for Dave Harvey. No surprise after how well he has been doing on those restarts. When you talk about it, those drivers on fresh tires do not have very much time. 8 laps is only like 2 or 3 minutes here at Bristol, so definitely not a lot of time for those drivers to get up to the front. As Dave Harvey doing a good job so far out front, but Mike Tellier trying to fight up to him. Here comes Phillip Scott, like you mentioned, in the 3rd place. Phillip has fought hard this race to be up here, and we are 3 wide on 3 wide TV down the back straightaway. John Canazzaro, Bill Edwards, and Kevin Stone taking it 3 wide for the 6th position here. So, contact. Oh, they keep it straight. Maybe, there's... Oh, yeah, the number 45 of John Eckhart did an incredible job saving that race car there. And we stay green. JT Poole and Phillip Scott going to fight for the 3rd position right now. JT Poole trying to get it away from Phillip Scott. Oh, Scott doing a good job up on the high line with no rear end on that race car. Like we mentioned, your points leader coming into tonight has had a hard-fought race here, and so far up on the podium with just a handful of laps to go. But up front, Dave Harvey still doing a good job. James Lorello fighting his way up here. There's Garrett Gleason slow on the inside. I think there was maybe a little bit of contact somewhere. Gleason a little bit slowed up, but the field works its way through them with 3 laps to go. Phillip Scott doing a good job fighting these two off. But so far, clean up front for Dave Harvey, come to take 2 laps to go.
Oh, and I was just about to say, if we don't see a big wreck and no caution flag by the end of that lap, we won't have overtime here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, but we will have overtime as Kevin Stone, Mr. Bad Luck himself, gets involved in another late race caution flag. We will have, like I mentioned, overtime here tonight. We have a couple of attempts at a green-white checker, and we will have one coming up here in a hurry because this gaggle of drivers that we were focusing on a little while ago, they all got involved in this accident. Let's look on the left side of your screen here out of the corner. Looks like Lorello gets together with his teammate, the number 50, and Lupe Gonzalez. Man, that's a heavy hit. Kevin Stone taking a heavy hit. JT Poole getting involved. Our winner from Daytona, bad luck striking with him again. Just the lap count winding down here, Mitchell. Let's see if we can get a look at exactly what happened here with Lorello and his teammate, the 50, Bill Edwards.
Yeah, coming out of turn 4 here. Little look at it. Almost looks like James got really close to the wall and kind of turned down to make sure he stayed out of it. And Bill Edwards and JT Poole were both kind of there, but I mean, they were inches apart anyways. And at this point, it's on. There's John Canazzaro and JD Laird. John Canazzaro almost got through it. You see, so did JD. I think at some point there was a spinning race car that took them both out. You see James Lorello's just absolutely torn up race car there for James. He was running up inside the top 5 most all of the race. Here's JD Laird. You see the wreck. Ooh, almost gets it there. I think JD actually made it through. John Canazzaro not so lucky. I think Bill Edwards might have caught him on his way back down the racetrack, but unfortunately, a lot of drivers up front caught up in that. When you see Kevin Stone in the 14 in pit lane, James Lorello, JT Poole, all trying to get their race cars fixed up, hopefully to get back out on the racetrack. But I think all those drivers now might be laps down. But Garrett Gleason got to win the Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog Award here on this one, as we've given out a couple of those tonight, but driver's done a pretty good job staying on the lead lap so far as pace truck lights remain on. But Dave Harvey, Peter, you've got to be thinking, if you're Dave Harvey, man, what do I have to do to get this race win? I mean, he's had so many good restarts, and he was so close there, just within a lap of taking the white flag. And I don't know if Mike Tellier was going to be able to get to him, but now you've got to re-rack it and do it all over again. And you've got JD Laird right behind him there. I think JD may have some fresh tires on that car, not quite sure, but definitely, if you're in that position, very stressful coming on to an overtime finish at Bristol of all tracks.
Trying to get your first TNR win in 50 or so starts here. In fact, it is exactly 50 starts here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, with the additional 6 provisionals taken for Harvey. A lot of pressure here to get a good restart. And look at JD Laird, the number 46 machine. He got his elbows out getting his way through that big accident. He's now up there towards the front of the field as the iRacing pace truck lights have been extinguished. We'll get our first attempt of a green-white checker here coming up in the Total Non-Stop Racing League as they work their way through turns number 3 and 4. Green flag is in the flagman's hand. There we go. Let's see him wave it. We're back. Green flag. Can we stay green? Mitchell, can we see out the rest of this race? It's JD Laird, the number 46, looking around the high side. Try to get to the high side of Mike Floppy Tellier, that is, as they go side by side into turn number 3 and 4. JD Laird, he's on fresher tires than Harvey. White flag is in the air. Can JD Laird pull this off on the fresher tires? He looks to the inside. We're going to have another photo finish here on 3 Wide TV in the Total Nonstop Racing League.
At Dave Harvey on the high line. JD Laird trying to make it work. Can he get there? No, he's not going to be able to, and it is Dave Harvey, for the first time in 50 races, going to take the checkered flag. Your race winner at Bristol as they wreck behind him. Ben Isega and a couple other drivers, but your winner of the Signarama Hollywood 156 at Bristol is Dave Harvey. Big congratulations to him. Had a really big fight from JD Laird there to fend off, so they definitely made him work for this one, Peter, but got it done and let quite a few laps there toward the end.
And folks, Harvey's been racing for many, many years. They used to be my teammate back in the day, as well as, well, I'm not sure if he's having connection issues or whether or not that was the extent of the burnout when that engine expired. But great to see Dave get to victory lane. It's been a while since we saw him get to victory lane, and great to see him finally get into victory lane here on 3 Wide TV as well. Your top 3 finishers: Mike Floppy Tellier, JD Laird, and David Harvey. We're going to see if we can line up some post-race interviews for you folks back at home. Get to hear from the top 3 here tonight. It was a wild one for sure, especially after that kind of the halfway mark. Well, it looked like we have Harvey in the Discord channel here, so we'll wait and see if Harvey elects to show up or not. Hopefully he does, because I'd love to hear what he has to say about getting the win here tonight. But why don't we jump to tonight's third place finisher? I believe Mitchell Adams has caught up with Mike Floppy Tellier.
Yeah, Mike Floppy Tellier, Mitchell Adams in the 3Y TV booth. Do you have a copy?
I do.
It was a really exciting race for us to watch up here. You found yourself up there toward the front through a lot of it. Ended up third, but do you think you could have done anything else differently there toward the end because you were so close, just a little short there on the final restart?
There was, I don't know, like 50 to go. I messaged Harvey and I told him, like, just get it to the end. I'm not going to put any pressure on you. We have older tires than everyone. Let's just try and drive away. And we did. We were able to pull away from basically everyone after a few laps, and then I guess these guys pit with, well, I don't know, like on lap 137, I think is what my pit app said, and they ended up showing up there at the end with 50 lap fresher tires, and JD got a good restart on the outside of me, and I couldn't hold him off. He pinched me pretty good at a two, and I almost doored him, but I just gave up a little bit of time and hope for the best, and glad to be P3. Maybe should have been better. I don't know. I'm not going to complain.
I mean, the tire strategy was definitely something we were watching a lot toward the end. And from your perspective throughout the race, how big a factor were those tires? Because we saw throughout the night a lot of drivers take different pit strategies. And I believe you only pitted once through the night, but we had some drivers pit like 4 or 5 times throughout the night. I don't know if you all had that many tires, but kind of how big a factor was that in tonight's race, do you think?
I think like after about 40 laps, like if you pit every 40, 50 laps and got fresh tires and people stayed out like myself, it would have made a difference. But if you could hold the top and pinch the bottom a little on exit, not give them the space to get the good run, you could hold your own. And I was doing that there for a while until, I don't know, I think it was me and the 45 got together there, whatever lap it was. But I was on really old tires and he was trying to use his freshies and get under me, and it was just racing incident. But it happens at short track racing. I don't think tires played that big of a deal until like at the very end. Like I said, JD showed up there at the end with fresh tires, Brady Todd. So I mean, they kind of did, but not as much as you would have thought.
Yeah, definitely at the end seemed like a bit of a factor, and you came home with a relatively clean race car compared to a lot of the cars out there tonight. Did you put yourself in a position coming in where you had a strategy for how to avoid some wrecks? I mean, you had a little damage, but compared to a lot of the cars out there, I think Dave Harvey was the only driver who brought it home without an incident point tonight. So, how'd you manage to keep your car clean tonight, and how'd you race differently than the rest of the cars out there?
I took it easy through stage one. I kind of came in with the plan. I noticed gas, like fuel mileage, you can make it to the end of stage two without tires or pitting for fuel. And I knew tires weren't going to be that big of an issue, or I was at least fast enough that if people got fresh tires, I could hold my own. And then yeah, the caution just came out at the right time there with like on lap 80, right before the end of the stage two, and it kind of put me back up near the front, and I just stayed ahead of all the incidents and tried to give people room to not put myself into another one.
Well, it worked out for you in the end for sure. Got to take a look at next week where the series is at Darlington for the throwback race. Are you planning on running any kind of throwback scheme, and what can we expect from you at Darlington?
Yeah, I am planning on bringing back a throwback scheme. It's going to be a really, really old classic TNR scheme from, I think, before we even started racing NR 2003 together, when we were just learning how to paint cars and pretending that this was our car for our offline PlayStation league that we used to run, or series that we ran. So yeah, I'm going really old school next week. I got lucky and found a picture of the car that I want to do, so I should be able to pull off a good replica of it.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to see it, and thank you for stopping by and talking to us. But before we let you go, anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, all the guys at Sky Motorsports. I know I was the only one that raced tonight, but shout out to my team. Tim Hortons for fueling me to another podium. Thompson Caterpillar. Let's see, Matt Muir Designs for putting together this wonderful paint scheme. G Fuel. I know I'm going to forget our other team sponsors. I'm sorry. All the wonderful Sky Motorsports team sponsors. Thank you so much for helping us out. And yeah, that's everybody.
All right. Well, thank you for talking to us again. Congratulations on the third place run, and hope to see you again up there next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, well, that's going to do it with tonight's third place interview, Mike Floppy Tellier. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's runner-up, JD Laird. JD, Peter Short up here in 3YT booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, looking back at your night and looking back to Rockingham, even though you finished second here tonight, you had a lot of pace. And last week you had a lot go wrong there mid-race. And it seemed like that was going to be the case again here tonight. But that wreck that happened with about 3 laps to go, coming to 2, maybe even it was that 2 laps to go, where you somehow got your arms out. It looked like Black Friday at Walmart, with you just pushing your way through the crowd, arms out, just kind of slicing your way through. Somehow, some way, a hole just opened, and you just worked your way up there into the top 4, had fresher tires, got up there into second late in the race. Just kind of talk us through your night here tonight, because I know it had frustrating parts, and I think some of that frustration was seen there as you barged your way up into the top 5 there late.
Yeah, it is what it is on how I got back there. I don't know, it just seems like whenever I come close to leading the second stage, something happens, and I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I got really lucky towards the end. Like you said, it was Black Friday at Walmart, but it was like a Walmart neighborhood market wide open, and I don't know. Like I still don't know how I was able to make it through. I really do not know. The iRacing gods decided to bless me with some decent netcode, and got through it. And I really wanted it, after it all, how it all went out, I really, really, really wanted to get that win so bad, but I only had 2 tires. I didn't have the chance to take the lefts because I still needed to fix damage, and I didn't want to wreck Harvey for it because that would have made me the devil man in the league, and I didn't want to do that. So congrats to him. I'll take the second. It be what it be. Just got to pile on the points and make sure that we're around at the end.
Yeah, that is extremely well put there, JD. That points are really what matters at the end of the season, and starting to turn things around after not exactly the finish you wanted last week at Rockingham Speedway. But the good news is next week we go to Darlington, and it's another difficult course. We started off with 3 really tricky tracks, with I'm excluding Daytona for fairly obvious reasons, but we went to Rockingham last week, then Bristol this week, not necessarily the easiest joint in the world, and then Darlington next week, also definitely not the easiest joint in the world. You looking forward to going to the Lady in Black?
Absolutely. I know the last time TNR went there, which was with the Truck Series, I mean, granted, Tim Johnson was there and gave a run for my money, but tracks like Darlington, where I can just kind of sit there and chill, are tracks that seem to be in my wheelhouse. Like I can hot lap because it's obviously proven, because I can qualify on pole like no tomorrow, except tonight. But a track like that where I can sit there, be patient, do my own thing, that suits well. So I am definitely looking forward to Darlington, especially after these last 3 weeks where it just didn't play out. But I mean, hopefully, I mean, I knocked the monkey off my back of qualifying on pole and having bad luck carry through the end. But hopefully there we can get back to qualifying on pole, leading laps, and hopefully kind of have it go my way. But it be what it be. I mean, the old 4.6 JDR graphics machine rolling, it's been rolling good all season. It's shown. It's just hasn't played out, but yeah, I'm still kind of at, like, normally I'm one of the talkative ones, and when it comes to these, but I'm just kind of I after getting the gift from Black Friday, missing the second to last wreck, I don't know what to say.
Well, it worked out for you. Second place here tonight. Excited for going into Darlington and also moving up in the point standings. Definitely a good night for you, all things considered. Hopefully this can be a turning point, and maybe you can go on a run from here. Before we let you go, JD, anyone you want to give a shout out to here on 3Y TV?
Yeah. Shout out to everybody at the E-Racer with Valvoline, Connecticut Realty Trust, Blue Emu, everybody that's been around to support me, but Langford Farm, Spirited by Brad, Jake Swanson Shock Technologies. I said Valvoline already. Don't need to say myself again. Everybody for putting on this league, all the admins at TNR, Signarama for coming on board to sponsor the race tonight. And hopefully tomorrow or next week, I talk to you guys one person later, being one spot better.
Well, we will wait and see whether or not that happens. Best of luck at Darlington, JD, and we'll see you there.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Well, I'm going to quickly run on over to Victory Lane, where my former teammate has finally gotten to Victory Lane in total non-stop racing. David, Peter Short here in the 3-Wide TV booth. Buddy, Victory Lane, finally. It was your 51st start here in the iRacing version of Total Nonstop Racing League, and in your 51st attempt, getting your first win. Talk us through your night and that strategy call. Only one pit stop all night long, able to seal the deal.
Yeah, I didn't really have a strategy going in. I just went with it. I was actually going to pit there with 40 to go, but I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, definitely would have put you back in the field and track position paramount here tonight, especially with that slew of caution flags towards the end of the race. What was going through your mind every time you got one of those caution flags? Were you happy to see him? Were you frustrated to see him? What were you thinking?
I was pretty happy. I knew I could hold him off for 5 laps. Once it got I'm not very good at saving my tires on iRacing, so I knew anything longer than 5 laps, I was probably screwed.
Well, you got a flurry of late race cautions and sprints to the end, and even a little bit of side-by-side action there on the final lap. JD Laird getting to the inside of you. What was going through your mind at that point? Were you a little bit concerned about the hard charge from JD Laird?
Yeah, I knew Mike was being nice with me, but when the 46 cleared him, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but I was either going to get wrecked or win, so...
Well, you're able to do the ladder there and get your first win here. Get the monkey off your back. You've had poles here. You've had runner-up finishes, and now getting to Victory Lane with I believe, 13 races left in this season after tonight. Is your goal to go out there and get more wins this season?
With where I'm at right now, probably not going to happen. I circled this race and the road course as my only 2 chances because I run once a week. I practice 5 minutes and then get off and come back and qualify. So it's kind of hard to compete with people that are putting time into it, but I'm having fun. So
having fun is what matters, and definitely you can't have more fun than being in Victory Lane, getting your first win, like I mentioned here in Total Nonstop Racing League. Next week, Darlington. What are your thoughts about the Lady in Black?
I think I only ran it once last year, and I think it was pretty bad, so I'm glad I got a win now, so I could take it easy.
Well, Darlington, not an easy track. That's why they call it the track Too Tough to Tame. Will be a fun one to watch here on the channel, nonetheless. But before we let you go, David, you got any shout-outs you'd like to give out?
Yeah, I got to thank Mike for painting my car. It looks great. Signarama for sponsoring the race, and then just all the admins and everybody doing a good job. The league seems like it's doing really well compared to even when I raced last year, the year before. The races are a lot better, so having fun.
All right, well, always good to hear. Go celebrate your win, getting the job done here tonight, and we'll see you next week at Darlington.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's going to do it with tonight's winning interview. David Harvey getting that win, getting that monkey off his back. Always great to see that type of thing. Let's see if we can bring up the final race results. However, Mitchell, why don't you take it away up at the top?
Yep, David Harvey, we just talked to him. Going to pick up your race win. JD Laird finished in second. Mike Floppy Tellier third. We got to talk to all 3 of those drivers. Then bringing it home in fourth was Brady Todd in the number 15. The fifth place was Phillip Scott, your points leader coming into tonight. So a rough night, but ended up with a pretty strong points finish in the end. Ben Izanga brings it home in the sixth position. Bill Edwards, his teammate, in seventh. John Canazzaro in the number 12 car finished in the eighth position. Then Kyle Zimmer in ninth, and John Eckert rounds out your top 10.
Steven Oziak Jr. going to come home 11th here tonight in the number 55. Vincent Valvano, who was involved in a couple of accidents, in 12th. Jason Shue, 13th. Quiet night from the number 3, but a solid 13th place finish. Good job, Jason. Jay Coyle in the 25, finishing in 14th. Kevin Stone. We just need to stop talking about his luck because it is never any good luck. The 14 finishes in 15th again tonight. Garrett Gleason finishing 16th. Keith Carball finishing in 17th. And James Urello, who won the first 2 stages here tonight, picks up 16 extra bonus points for those 2 stage wins, but it's going to succumb to an 18th place finish on the final scoring pylon. Not what he wanted to have happen. JT Poole 19th. Lupe Gonzalez, who was at one point the biggest mover of the race, involved in a late race accident, finishing 7 laps down in 20th. Fernando Matos, the Signarama of Hollandale machine, finishing 21st. Jason Freeman 22nd. And Robert Tripp, who had some connection troubles, finishing last here tonight. Last car scored. But wow, what a great race here at the Signarama of Hollywood 156 is wrapped up. Big shout out to Signarama, Signarama of Hollandale and Signarama of Hollywood. I believe we'll have a race later this season, sponsored by the Signarama of Hollandale down there in Southeast Florida, in the Miami area. If you're down there and you need a custom sign, a way to grow your business, make sure you check out our friends over at Signarama. There's a link to their Hollywood, Florida location in the description of the YouTube video here tonight. And why don't you go down there and click on it, check it out, and give them an email. Give them your business. We really appreciate them for sponsoring not only 2 cars in the field here tonight, but also tonight's race. Mitchell, any final thoughts here tonight? In my opinion, this was as good of a race as we've seen so far. A couple of caution flags, but again, another side-by-side finish right at the end.
I mean, I thought it was a very good race for most of it. We had basically the whole field on the lead lap, so very competitive race tonight. A lot of 3-wide action side by side, so I think Bristol delivered a very good race here tonight in the Total Nonstop Racing League, and the action's only going to pick up next week at Darlington for the throwback race with a lot of great paint schemes I'm sure we're going to see on track. And thank you all for having me up in the booth, Peter, and wishing Bob the best with all the stuff he's doing, and thank you to him for letting me get up here in the booth. I always have fun with you, Peter, but I thought it was a great race, and I'm looking forward to watching next week's if I can.
Yeah, of course, you will not be here in the booth. Bob Giaquinto will not be in the booth, so we are looking for someone to join us in the booth here next week. We'll see who might be the guest co-anchor here on 3 Wide TV when we get a little bit closer to the action at Darlington. And like you said, the action only ramps up as the season ticks on. I'm just coming back to something you said, Mitchell, lots of 3-wide action. I think I've seen more 3-wide action at Bristol here tonight than I have any broadcast here on the channel combined, with how much good side-by-side 3-wide action we saw. Pretty impressive, and I don't think any 3-wide action ever led to an accident, believe it or not. Maybe once. I think it happened once, but very, very impressive stuff out of the TNR boys and girls. Well, folks, want to thank you for tuning on in here on 3 Wide TV. Make sure to tune in same time, same place next week at 8:05 Eastern Time for more action at Darlington. But until then, stay safe and all of that good stuff, and we shall see ya!